What is going on, everybody? This is Sergey from MMA Soap Opera, and today we're gonna be talking about this past weekend UFC 311, and oh boy, what an absolute fantastic event this was. I'm really happy with the way most of the fights turned out, although I gotta say the main event was a little bit of a disappointment because we were all looking forward to Arman Tsarukyan versus Islam Makhachev. Well, still, massive props to both Islam and Renato Moicano to saving the main event. I'm actually not sure what would happen if Renato said no to the fight. Would the main fight just get cancelled and Merab versus Umar would get bumped to the main event of the whole evening? Yeah, that's what would probably happen. Anyways, I would like to talk about a couple of the fights, including the main fight of the prelims, which was of course Peyton Talbot versus Barcelos. Listen, I actually don't think that it's that big of a deal for Peyton Talbot to lose this fight. I know that there was a massive hype behind him. I'm not sure how much this is gonna change right now, but still, I just watched a breakdown of Michael Bisping with Paul Felder, and Paul Felder's opinion was that Peyton Talbot still gave it a pretty good try. I don't know, when I was watching the fight, for some reason I felt quite the opposite, to be honest. To me, his performance was more reminiscent of like what, I don't know, Israel Adesanya was probably experiencing against Sean Strickland, or even Leon Edwards in his last fight when he lost the belt. I don't know, it kind of felt that at one point he just sort of gave up. And Barcelos, man, the dude put it on him. I was really hoping that this would be the case. I do understand why Peyton Talbot was still the favorite in this fight, but I don't think that the odds were reasonable at all. Like, having Peyton Talbot as minus 1,100 favorite is kind of crazy to me. Like, sure, Barcelos has some wins in the past, but still, he is pretty damn good fighter, and he is greedy as hell. So yeah, we'll see what is gonna happen with these two guys, but I wouldn't recommend Peyton Talbot to wait much longer. I really hope that he's gonna get at least 2 more fights this year, because this guy truly needs to get some, you know, some rounds in the octagon under the lights. Obviously, when he's gonna go back in the training right now, he's probably gonna be focusing on wrestling and takedown defense, or at least I hope so. But yeah, still, let's see. Hopefully we're gonna see him in maybe like May or June. Then the first fight of the main card, Kevin Holland versus René de Ridder. I can't help myself but feel like Kevin Holland sort of let himself down on this one. Like, I know that in the pre-fight press conference he was asking de Ridder to not shoot any takedowns in like at least 2 or 3 minutes. Well, that didn't go his way, and I'm just wondering when is gonna Kevin Holland realize that he just has to step it up a little bit. This is like his 4th loss in the last 5 fights. Like, that's really not good. Honestly, I don't really know what to do with Kevin Holland at this point. It really seems like he's sort of lost his wind. But when it comes to René de Ridder, I don't really agree with his callouts. I think that it's still a little bit too early for him to go up and just fight the top 5, even top 10 fighters, to be honest. But I would love to see him to go against Bo Nickel. I think that that's a matchup to make, honestly. Both of the fighters unranked. Both of the fighters sort of have similar quirks to them. If you think about it, both René de Ridder and Bo Nickel, of course, are wrestling heavy. Or, well, their main game revolves around being on the ground. Like, obviously, de Ridder needs to work on his striking. He has very, very weak striking as opposed to his ground game. But yeah, I'm kind of surprised that no one is talking about this potential matchup. What do you guys think about René de Ridder going against Bo Nickel? What do you think? Let me know in the comment section down below. So yeah, then the next fight was Jailton Almeida versus Sergey Spivak. I thought that that was an absolute banger of 1-rounder. I think that both guys really went for it. I was really surprised by Sergey Spivak. I really wasn't expecting him to do any reversals on Almeida. But yeah, Jailton Almeida, I think that he's been getting better and better in his past fights. And I would probably go as far as saying that he's no longer this one-trick pony that we saw him at in the beginning. So yeah, pretty cool. I don't see Jailton Almeida fighting Tom Aspinall anytime soon, but the call out against Cyril Gane was a really good one. That's a matchup to make for him. Alright, the next fight is Jiří Procházka versus Jamal Hill. And first of all, I want to say that I completely disagree with calling Merab Dvalishvili versus Umar Nurmagomedov a fight of the night. This was the fight of the night because Jiří Procházka and Jamal Hill delivered on absolutely everything. Both of the fighters went for it, both of the fighters were active, both of the fighters were really showing the best of themselves. I'm still waiting on Jamal Hill to talk about this fight fight, ideally in one of his videos, because I'm really curious to hear what did it feel like in the cage. In my opinion, he was probably really frustrated that he wasn't able to land any shots on Jiří Procházka. I mean, obviously he was landing here and there, but still, if you see the amount of attacks missed on Jiří Procházka, like that must have felt really demotivating inside of the octagon. When it comes to Jiří Procházka, like he was talking about improving defense and improving his head movement. I didn't really see any actual improvements in defense. He didn't necessarily have his hands up. Head movement, I totally saw that, but maybe this is a better approach for him, because this is not really impacting his like style, the way he's used to fight. He's basically just adding another element that is not necessarily limiting his way of movement, if you know what I mean. He's still maintaining his freedom, he's still maintaining his flow and like the spontaneous movement that he's creating, while also trying to avoid the shots. So if he's gonna keep working on this, I think that this is improving his chances against Alex Pereira significantly. I still wouldn't pick Jiří Procházka in the fight against Pereira, because Pereira is just a monster. He's a sniper, and the punching power that he has is just completely different level. Like even in this fight against Jamal Hill was still able to land, and I think that with the power of Pereira, I think that he would be able to knock him out. So yeah, Jiří Procházka got the performance of the night. What an absolutely fantastic performance, actually, by both fighters. And I just got this video sent from my friend, and I gotta be honest, this is something that I absolutely respect about MMA fighters. I think that Jamal Hill was in this similar position a couple of times already. Wasn't it against Paul Craig when he got his head broken? The dude got defeated badly, and he was still open enough to go, try to have a good time, and have a drink with his opponent. He's annoying as hell from time to time, that's for sure. But overall, I think that he's a solid guy. Alright, then the co-main event, of course, Merab Dvalishvili versus Umar Nurmagomedov. Man, I was so happy with the way this ended. I was so happy. Isn't Merab Dvalishvili like the first person, at least in the recent history, to give L to the Nurmagomedov family? I think that that's one hell of a flex. Merab did so well. I think that he was a little bit too patient in the beginning. I don't know, maybe according to him, Umar is most dangerous in the beginning of the fights. But you could obviously see that as the fight was going, Merab was getting this crazy self-belief in him. But yeah, of course, Nurmagomedov is saying that he broke his hand in the first round. That's just a pity. Still, massive respect for the way he did in the rest of the fight. But still, like, if this didn't happen to him, I still kind of don't believe that he would still be able to match and keep the pace with Merab Dvalishvili, because that man is an absolute monster. In my opinion, Merab Dvalishvili is actually one of the biggest names in UFC right now, because he basically has everything. Super fun personality, like the dude is goofy as hell. Absolutely killer record. And the dude defended his belt, like he is a legit champion. And I just want to go back to his wins, okay? He basically just defeated the toughest matchup in the division, which was of course Nurmagomedov. Before that, Sean O'Malley, Henry Cejudo, Olympic wrestler Henry Cejudo, and the double champ, of course, sure. Then Piotr Jan, that was a great win, and also a massive grudge match. Jose Aldo, an absolute legend of the division. Like, dude, Merab is making a pretty strong case for himself to be called basically the best in the history of this division. I wouldn't go as far as saying that, but if he's gonna be able to defend his belt at least twice, I think that he would be absolutely undeniable. And then the main fight of the evening was, of course, Islam Makhachev versus Renato Manny Moicano. And I gotta be honest, this was the one fight that sort of let me down, not because of how these guys performed. I'm actually not disappointed in the way Manny Moicano was performing, and you absolutely can't be disappointed by Islam Makhachev either. I think that Dana White said it the best in the post-fight press conference. Islam Makhachev performed exactly how you would expect a dominant champion to perform in such a situation. He absolutely dominated Manny Moicano. And Moicano, listen, you can't be mad at this dude. Like, the dude still went for it, and he was doing pretty well in the stand-up in the beginning of the round. So yeah, I'm not sure just how much he's gonna be able to improve going forward to be able to challenge for the belt in the future again. If he's gonna just keep it steady and keep progressing, maybe in 3-4 fights. But I think that the coming fights are gonna be pretty damn difficult for him, because not only he has basically the whole top 10 ahead of him, he has a top 10 filled with absolute killers ahead of him. That's the big part. I would probably rather see him in some fun matchups where he could make some money. For example, against Paddy Pimblett, or how about Manny Moicano versus Michael Chandler? I think that's a good one as well. But yeah, still, I think that Manny Moicano has some fun matchups ahead of him. And when it comes to Islam Makhachev, this is really difficult. Listen, I would definitely not go as far as saying that he's the best fighter in lightweight history, okay? I think that some of these belt defenses are sort of questionable. Like, obviously, Renato Moicano, questionable win. Alexander Volkov Volkanovski, the first win was a really good one, but the second win, wasn't it like a short notice? Like, it's really difficult for me to look at that one that seriously, even though that it was a great win, obviously. So yeah, I actually think that Islam has a lot of work to do in his own weight class. I don't want the fight against Ilia Topuria. I don't think that Ilia Topuria deserves it, and I still think that Islam Makhachev is one proper win away from getting what he ultimately wants, which is of course a shot for double champ status. Who I would like to see him against? Let's have a look at it. Arman Tsarukyan is the most obvious choice, but who knows what is gonna happen with that guy right now. And then Charles do Bronx Oliveira. I think that's the fight. Even though that it's a rematch, I actually don't see any other proper matchup for him, at least in the top 5. But yeah, overall, what an absolutely fantastic event this was. I would give it like 8 out of 10. Really solid first pay-per-view of 2025. But yeah, what did you think about UFC 311? Let me know in the comment section down below. But also, while you're gonna be there, don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell for the future content. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. This was Sergey from MMA Soap Opera, cause that's what it is.